Hey guys, this is Invader, and welcome to my review of indie game Project Warlock. Project Warlock originally started off as a project by an 18-year-old Polish boy named Jacob Sislo, who was still attending high school when he first started the game. He was inspired to make this game because of his dad introducing him to games like Doom, Wolfenstein, and Blood, games made well before he was born. The game started off as a Kickstarter project and was successfully crowdfunded. Eventually, Jacob was able to put together a small team and formed Buckshot Software. After a few game improvements and name changes, the game would be known finally as Project Warlock. I'm playing this game on Xbox One and bought it for about $20. The game is also available for the PC, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch. So that's pretty cool how everything came together for this title. Now on to the details. The story is very minimal at best here. You're a badass warlock and you're using your abilities to blast through waves of enemies. How do the developers describe it? Well, let's read to see what they have to say on the Xbox storefront page. One man and his guns. Become a mysterious warlock who embarks onto a dangerous mission to eradicate all evil. Put your finger on the trigger and travel through time and space to wreak havoc like in the golden days of fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping first-person shooters, hooking you for hours of super fun carnage. Let's rock and roll! Explore 60 vast levels in 5 settings, from frozen Antarctic base to the sands of Egypt to the medieval castle courts and graveyards. Find keys to unlock passages, reveal secret caches with ammo and gold, use lifts and hidden buttons to access new areas, finally descend to hell to face the ultimate challenge and emerge victorious. Combat tons of enemies, from flying demons to 5-story robots, splashing walls and floors with their blood and chunks. Dodge bullets and projectiles, figure out strategies and weapons that works best against each of the nasty villains, learn their moves and stay one step ahead to survive through the levels, face mega bosses in vast final arenas to complete each world. Expand your arsenal with new weapons found along the way, from powerful blades to massive guns. Collect and develop your favorite gear and master the craft of carnage. Reach into vast arsenal of 38 types of weapons and learn their secret tricks to deliver maximum carnage fast. Grab ammo and spit out series of bullets, walls of flames, and bursts of magic shots to bring down enemies foolish enough to stand in your way. Develop your hero the way you like by assigning upgrade points and perks to the favorite skills between each level. Develop and upgrade spells and weapons to create your unique character through the game, and use their powers to master the game in higher difficulty modes. So a pretty simple concept, but you know what? It works for me. Moving on to gameplay, and it's a straight up old school first person shooter. It takes heavy influences from Doom, Blood, and Wolfenstein 3D, just to name a few. Originally, it was supposed to be a Wolfenstein 3D clone, but with time, it morphed into its own identity that we know now. Onto the weapons, and oh boy, the weapons are good. Being a warlock, the first weapon that you get is a staff that you can use to shoot a concentrated magic attack. Of course, you get the usual first-person goodies such as a pistol, shotgun, SMG, rocket launcher, and you know, the whole lot. There's 12 basic weapons to choose from. However, in this game, you can use skill points to upgrade your weapons. And you have 2 choices for the majority of the weapons, giving you a total of about 36 weapon choices. You can turn your single SMG into a twin pairing of akimbo SMGs, or a nail gun that shoots projectiles off of walls and ricochets, or turn your laser gun into a high-powered railgun. There's some nice options here, and sometimes it's hard to make a decision on the spot because you're locked into that choice once you choose it. Another tool at your disposal is the ability to cast spells. You'll need them for a variety of situations you'll come across in your battles. You obtain them by finding spell books across different levels and unlocking them using skill points. They can be very useful for revealing secrets, freezing enemies, casting shields, and more. Casting the spells drains your mana, so you have to manage it for certain circumstances, more so at the beginning of the game. As touched on previously, there are skill points you can obtain to upgrade weapons, skills, abilities, and increase mana. It's not the most sophisticated use of upgrade mechanics, but it works well for this game and drives you to find more skill points to become stronger. It may even drive you to want to play through a second time because you're not going to unlock all the weapons or abilities in a single playthrough. Moving on to the visuals, and as stated earlier, this is a game that's inspired by old school first-person classics, and it certainly serves them well. Every inch of Project Warlock oozes with nostalgia. The level design, while simple, it definitely conveys old school premises and styling. Enemies are well detailed and animated, while still retaining the retro charm, from small sprites to enormous bosses. There's also a lot of variety to the enemy types from one episode to the next. In one section, you'll be fighting against hordes of zombies, and in another, hellbent robots, and, well, you get the gist of it. There's a lot of variety to the enemy types, so you never get bored of mowing down the enemies in this game. Moving on to the audio for this game, I have to say that the soundtrack to Project Warlock is quite good. As soon as you boot up the game to the main menu, the music just makes you want to get into the action. It totally gets you in the mood for some monster ass kicking. Each level has its own music and has a distinctive flair to it. I also need to mention that the weapon sounds are very good. They're quite distinctive. You're able to separate the sounds of the weapons. They're all very unique. And you know what? They're very pleasing to fire off as well because they have that unique sound to them, whether it be the shotguns, the SMGs, railgun, minigun, and so forth. Moving on to the game length, and for my playthrough of the game, it lasted roughly 11 hours. It didn't feel like it was overstaying its welcome. And while I did think that some levels were extremely short, it felt like a fun ride all the way through, and it never got old. There's also some extra items to search for strewn about. There are secret rooms to find filled with loot to increase your XP, extra lives, and other goodies. As well, there are little homages to beloved games hidden in certain levels. These are just some nice added touches added in. I really like it when devs do that kind of stuff, and certainly adds to the replay value of the game in my opinion. So what's going to be my score for Project Warlock? Well, first let's run through both the good and the bad aspects of the game. Starting off with the good, well, the gameplay, it is solid, and if you're into those old school shooters, then you are going to love this game. The weapons and the upgrades for these weapons are a lot of fun. Again, I can't overstate how much of a welcome the weapons are in this game. And while it does have a lot of the tried and true staples from other shooters, it also has a bunch of unique weapons to its credit. The sprite models are really well done, from the small minions to the giant boss fights. There's a lot of variety to them, and mowing down a screen full of all kinds of uglies and beasties does not get old. And I gotta say, there's a lot of character to them. There are lots of secrets to find scattered throughout the levels, which are either in rooms filled with loot or references and homages to other classic titles. And of course I have to mention the soundtrack. The game has a very good soundtrack that gets you in the mood to play right from the start. Moving on to the bad aspects of the game. Well, the game has a minimal story, and for those of you that like intense narratives, this game just may not be for you. Also of note, some levels are extremely short, and while I don't think that it takes away from the whole experience, some levels you play only last maybe a couple of minutes and you're done, so it's a little disappointing on that front. Project Warlock is a love letter to early first-person shooters. Every bit of it is a homage to some of the most recognizable names in gaming. The gameplay is fun and has plenty of variety to it when it comes to weapons, enemies, and more. And to top it all off, it has a pretty catchy soundtrack that'll keep you going throughout your battles. I recommend you check out this little treasure, especially if you have an itchy trigger finger. Overall, I give Project Warlock a score of 8.5 out of 10. Thanks everyone for taking the time to watch my review for Project Warlock. I really appreciate all the support. If you happen to enjoy it, then please consider leaving a like, dropping a comment down below, and subscribe to keep up to date on my content, as I definitely have more reviews and guides planned for the summer. Also remember to hit the notifications bell button to stay notified of when my videos immediately drop. Until next time guys, Invader out.